Taste my feet. Fly. Now go to hell. It's over. Let's have some fun.
What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and we are back with, as you can see, a trick guide for Vergil in DMC5 Special Edition. We're going to be utilizing some of the stuff that you witnessed in the combo at the start of this video, primarily just how to abuse the trick system with Vergil and why it's just so overpowered in this game, not just from a style standpoint, but from a utility standpoint, especially if you're going for some of those harder trophies and S ranks in DMC5 SE. As always though, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with anything and everything DevilNeverCry and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when new content drops. I would like to say before we begin, big thank you to everybody for the recent support. We managed to hit 28k subs, which is absolutely awesome, especially considering where we started the year at, but I digress. On to the topic of the video. So, as you all know, Vergil's trick system is tied to the circle button by default if you're on PlayStation, or the B button, I guess, if you're on the Xbox consoles. And if you just press this button without locking on, Vergil will just teleport instantly up into the air. This is what's known as a trick up. Vergil literally just tricks out of existence and just reappears up in midair. This essentially acts as his double jump. You can do it immediately after a jump, again as the name implies, to gain some extra height. This is mainly for utility, and I guess if you want to kind of get out of harm's way. You know, if you need to gain a little extra ground clearance, use this. Make sure you do use it, because Vergil does not have a conventional double jump. But I'm not the biggest advocate of the trick up for Vergil, primarily because it requires you to disengage your lock-on. As you already know, DMC5 has a plethora of lock-on issues, as many of you saw in some of my streams. And obviously if you're mid-combat and you let go of the lock-on button to trick up, and then you re-engage your lock-on attempting to fight the same enemy, the lock-on could target somebody else entirely, leaving you in a bit of a tricky position. So keep that in mind when using the trick up. Then we come on to the air trick, which, as the name suggests, it teleports you to whatever enemy you're locked onto. Vergil literally throws out a Mirage Blade. This acts as somewhat of a marker for Vergil to teleport to, and then Vergil just teleports over to him and you can just continue on your assault. This is performed by locking onto an enemy and then pressing the trick button. What's great about this, as opposed to the trick up, is that you don't have to disengage that lock-on. You don't have to re-engage and then pray that the lock-on system doesn't screw you over and lock onto somebody who's like 3 miles away, which has happened more times than I can count. But it's great for chasing an enemy down, for example like a Judecca. Everyone hates them because they love to teleport away and scurry away. With this move you can just teleport straight to them, or for example if you're using moves that throw away enemies at the end of them, for example the Stinger, you can simply just air trick immediately after a Stinger, allowing you to keep up the pressure and keep up that style rank. Next up we have the trick dodge, which is a new implementation for Vergil in DMC5 Special Edition. This allows Vergil to, as the name implies, just trick to the side or trick back as a dodge. Now the main caveat with this move is that it requires concentration. Essentially, Vergil gains a large amount of iframes and he kind of moves out of harm's way, either left, right, or back, depending on where you point the left stick. Again, this is performed without locking on, and so you have to have some concentration to use this. If you don't have any concentration, the move won't come out. Now, the cool thing about this is that if you time it, as you can see in the gameplay, if you time it just right, just as an enemy is about to strike, and you trick dodge out of the way, there'll be a little slowdown effect telling you that you got the timing perfect, and Vergil will actually gain not only Devil Trigger, but he'll also gain a little bit of concentration back. Essentially rewarding the player for getting the timing down instead of just spamming it, which, to be honest, you can't really spam this move. There is a little bit of a cooldown or a delay between trick dodges, so if you think that's going to get you through some of the harder difficulties, I'm afraid that is simply not the case. Moving on, we come to the side roll, which I know isn't necessarily part of the trick system, but I felt I should talk about it because Vergil does gain a unique side roll if done after any attack animation. As you can see, it functions very similarly to the trick dodge. The animation is very similar, and Vergil just performs this wide sweeping arc around the enemy or around whatever you're locked onto, after Vergil does an attack. This doesn't use any concentration whatsoever. I guess it's essentially allowing you to get out of harm's way if you've sort of almost mistimed your attack, you know, letting you get out of hell just before an attack hits, especially with some of the enemies that have hyper armor. You know, you could be going for a stinger, Proto-Angelo kind of just tanks it, and they're about to come down at you with a big old sword, and you're able to use the side roll to just get out of harm's way. And it is pretty cool just in general if you want to run circles around the enemy, as you can see in the background. But then we come on to the big feature, which I kind of wanted to talk about today, which I think everybody who plays DMC5 SE with Vergil needs to use. And that is the trick down system, or the trick down move that Vergil has at his disposal. As the name implies, if done in midair, Vergil will teleport down and back, or if performed on the ground, he'll simply teleport backwards. You simply lock on, hit back to forward on the left analog stick, and then press the trick input, and it's great for getting out of harm's way on ground. Vergil can spam this move and he can literally move back super rapidly, super far away. It's great for getting out of the way of attacks, you know, big area of effect attacks, or against bosses like Cavalier who have wide sweeping hitboxes. You can literally mash the input and Vergil will just teleport away. It's insane. And along with that utility on the ground, it's great for doing some stylish stuff in midair. You know, you can go for a launcher, do some aerial attacks, hit a trick down, follow up with a relaunch, or, you know, with a stinger, rapid slash. There's so many things you can do with the trick down system. It's great, but the main aspect to it that I really like is its ability to cancel out of pretty much any single attack. Now, I know some of Vergil's attacks let you cancel out of them partway through with a jump, or you can air trick out of them, but that's a little risky because it essentially provides almost no invincibility frames. But mainly, the reason why this is so cool is because you can literally cancel immediately after you start an attack animation. You could be in the wind-up animation for a stinger, and you can cancel it out before it even happens. You can change your mind before the stinger even comes out, and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that. I'm just going to trick back out of it. You know, and it's great simply because you can have moves that have large recovery frames where you have to commit to them. For example, like the Void Slash, where you can just immediately cancel out of it. You know, let's say an attack's coming your way and you realize it's too late. You can literally just trick down out of it, and, you know, you can avoid that damage altogether. That's not even speaking for the combo potential for this. You know, this move was limited to Vergil in DMC4 SE in his Devil Trigger. You know, you had to have Devil Trigger to use it, whereas here Vergil has it at his disposal the entire time. If you've seen my Vergil Must Die playthrough, I use the trick down all the time, not just for stylish reasons, not because I want to get my rank up or anything, but specifically because it's great for getting out of harm's way, especially with some of the higher difficulties like Vergil Must Die, where a lot of enemies have not only a lot of health, but they have a lot of hyper armor. They'll tank through your hits, you know, and it's great if you see them, you know, wind up their attack animation and you realize, and you're like, oh shit, you can just trick back or trick down out of it, and, you know, you can continue on your assault without taking damage. And for that reason, it's obviously also great for getting S ranks. And what's even better is that the trick dodge and the trick down are both implemented surprisingly well into SDT. Just like in DMC4 SE, Vergil's side roll is replaced by a trick dodge when in SDT. So Vergil will do a super quick roll. Vergil won't even roll, he'll just teleport side to side. It's insane. And that goes for the trick down. Instead of having to do the back to forward input, if you just lock on, hold back on the left analog stick and then press the jump button, Vergil will just do a trick down. It's great, for example, if your hands kind of cramp up or, you know, aren't as fast as they used to be to have to put in all these back to forward inputs. You can simply just use the X button and just hold one direction on the left analog stick. And that pretty much wraps up our very basic guide to Vergil's trick system, or trick mechanics, so to speak. I'd suggest you go into the Void and try things out for yourself, get a feel for things. I know some people are obviously going to be hopping straight into the campaign. I know that's what I did, but whenever you've got some spare time, I definitely suggest you check out this system in the Void and just practice. If you do have any questions, or if there is anything that I have missed out, do let me know down in the comments below. If you want to catch me whenever I go live, there's a link to my Twitch channel down in the description below. If you want to join on in the discussion for DMC, join the channel's Discord. There'll be a link in the description to that as well. Or if you want to get at me personally, my Twitter is also there. With all that said and done though, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.